Dubai has built its reputation on doing what most cities would consider impossible. The tallest skyscrapers, enormous shopping malls, luxury resorts, and artificial islands have all become symbols of a city determined to reshape its environment. But one project pushed that ambition further than almost anything else: the World Islands. Located several kilometers off Dubai's coastline, this enormous development was designed as a collection of artificial islands arranged in the shape of a world map. The idea was breathtaking. Wealthy investors could own private islands representing different parts of the planet, while luxury resorts and exclusive residences would transform the Arabian Gulf into one of the world's most extraordinary destinations. The project was associated with billions of dollars in investment, with figures around $12 billion often mentioned when discussing its enormous development vision. But there was one problem from the beginning. These islands were not naturally formed. They were created by dredging massive quantities of sand from the seabed and depositing it into carefully engineered shapes. That meant the islands had to withstand waves, currents, erosion, and the natural movement of sediment. Years later, dramatic headlines began claiming that Dubai's giant artificial islands were sinking back into the sea. Images of unfinished sections and empty coastlines fueled the controversy. But is an entire $12 billion project really disappearing underwater? Or is the truth more complicated? To understand what is happening, we need to look at how Dubai actually built these extraordinary islands. Creating the World Islands was an engineering operation on an extraordinary scale. Dubai needed to manufacture land where there was previously nothing except seawater. Giant dredging machines collected enormous quantities of sand from the seabed and transported that material into carefully planned locations. Layer by layer, artificial islands began taking shape. From the air, the arrangement was designed to resemble a map of the world. It looked almost unbelievable. But creating the islands was only the first challenge. Sand does not behave like solid rock. When enormous quantities of loose material are placed underwater, the weight can cause the ground to compact. Water can also move through the sediment, while waves and currents constantly interact with the shoreline. Engineers therefore needed protective structures around the islands to reduce the power of the sea. Massive rock barriers were constructed to help shield the artificial land from waves and erosion. At first, the project appeared to represent another spectacular Dubai success story. Developers announced luxury resorts, private residences, and exclusive destinations for wealthy buyers. But then the global financial crisis disrupted the real estate boom. Construction slowed, investments changed, and several planned developments remained incomplete. Over time, unfinished islands became part of the visual identity of the project. This led to another question: could artificial islands remain stable for decades without enormous amounts of maintenance? That question would eventually fuel the controversial claims that Dubai's ambitious island project was sinking into the sea. The word "sinking" makes the situation sound straightforward, but the science behind artificial islands is much more complicated. Artificial land can experience settlement. When newly deposited material is placed underwater, the weight of the material can compress the layers beneath it. Over time, the surface may gradually move downward. That does not automatically mean an entire island is disappearing beneath the ocean. There is another challenge: erosion. Waves, currents, and storms can remove sand from one part of a shoreline and move it somewhere else. On a natural coastline, these processes happen continuously over extremely long periods. On an artificial island, however, changes can become much more noticeable because the coastline was deliberately engineered. This is why claims that the entire world islands are rapidly sinking should be treated carefully. Parts of Dubai's artificial island developments have faced concerns involving erosion, sediment movement, settlement, development delays, and maintenance. But those issues are not the same thing as proving that the entire project is collapsing underwater. Some sections have continued to attract development and luxury investment. The bigger story is actually the enormous challenge of maintaining artificial land in a marine environment. Think about what Dubai attempted. Engineers created islands from sand and rock in the middle of the Gulf and then expected those islands to support expensive properties and infrastructure. But the ocean never stops moving. Every wave carries energy. Every current transports sediment. Every storm tests the coastline. Building an artificial island may be spectacular, but keeping one stable can be an entirely different challenge. Dubai's artificial islands were designed to transform the coastline, but the ocean has its own rules. One major challenge is erosion. Whenever humans create new land in the sea, they can change the way water moves through the surrounding area. Natural coastlines have developed over thousands of years, shaped gradually by waves, currents, tides, and sediment. Artificial islands can disrupt those patterns much faster. Water that once traveled freely may encounter new barriers, causing sediment to move differently. This is one reason protective rock structures are so important around Dubai's artificial developments. The barriers are designed to absorb wave energy and protect the reclaimed land behind them. Without sufficient protection, waves could gradually reshape exposed shorelines. But protection itself creates another responsibility: maintenance. Artificial islands cannot simply be constructed and forgotten. Engineers have to monitor their condition, inspect coastal defenses, and respond when erosion or other changes occur. This is especially important for a project divided into numerous separate islands. Another factor is development. Some parts of the world islands remained incomplete or undeveloped for long periods. When people see empty artificial islands surrounded by water, it can easily create the impression that the entire project has failed or is disappearing. But unfinished development is not the same as a sinking island. Financial problems, changing investment strategies, construction delays, and engineering challenges can all contribute to an unfinished appearance. The real question is not whether nature is attacking Dubai's islands. Nature is always acting on them. The question is whether Dubai can continue managing those forces economically and technically. The world islands remain one of Dubai's most ambitious experiments. The project attempted something extraordinary, creating a new geography in the middle of the Arabian Gulf and turning that artificial landscape into luxury real estate. But decades after the original vision was announced, the project's story is far more complicated than the original advertisement suggested. So, is Dubai's $12 billion man-made island sinking back into the sea? The answer is not as simple as the headline. Artificial islands can experience settlement, erosion, and sediment movement. Those are genuine engineering challenges. But claiming that the entire world island's development has been confirmed to be rapidly disappearing underwater would exaggerate the available evidence. What makes the project fascinating is the conflict between human engineering and natural forces.